Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is L. I'm going to be bringing a domination match on map Rush. I'm going to be using the AN-94 with stock and fast mag. I'm sorry for this being a little bit late. Let's get into it. So to start off, I'm actually going to go to the left and not go to A domination. And the reason for this is because I know that people go to the left and there's a lot of people and it gets a lot of traffic, so I'm going to try to pick up some kills. And right here I want to pause it just to point out how I slide into this cover and I'm able to just pick up this guy so easily, and I'm also able to avoid that guy with the LMG in the back. And that just, it really sets me up for the rest of the game because I really play, or at least for the rest of the half, because this half I do pretty well, and then the second half is not as good. But anyway, it really sets me up because I am like constantly playing this this um I play smart, and the reason for that is just so that I can do better in this game. And right there, I just wanted to point out how I actually ran around that area, even though I saw those guys. I didn't go directly to throw C4 at them. I actually went around and checked my area just to make sure that that it was safe to throw C4 and just to use my equipment. And this was a really smart play because it allows me to just live longer and even though I lost a kill, I was able to live longer. And right there, I paused it just to point out how I was just playing. It was another smart play. I saw those two guys on my VSAT or on my radar, and I actually just set up and got ready for them to come around that corner. And I was actually unfortunately unable to pick up the second guy because I didn't want to try to risk going into a second gunfight, but fortunately I was able to pick up the first guy, and my teammates were actually able to save me and pick up the second guy. So that was a relatively good play because I didn't force anything that was unnecessary. I didn't run into any unnecessary gunfights, and overall I was able to end up getting one kill and living a long life. As you can see, I'm actually playing a little bit defensive right here because you know and these guys are really pushing really hard, and I don't want to. I'm not running a suppressor on either of my primary or my secondary, so it's not that easy to rush into the spawn and actually pick off a large amount of kills and still live and be able to be in the spawn without being noticed. So that's that. So my playstyle also really helps with this gameplay, and right here I'm actually going to go up this ramp with my sight up because I see the guy on my radar, but I do know that there's more than a few guys over here. I don't want to go into an area where it's too clogged up because if there's too many people in an area when you're trying to push, it ends up being a bad situation because so especially in like ground war or just especially in ground war, which this is a game of ground war, there's a lot of people, and when you're trying to go through a doorway with more than one person, it ends up getting really backed up, and it's really difficult to just be um, agile when you're running around with too many people. So that's why I'm trying to avoid areas where there's too many people. And right there, I paused it just to point out how I didn't call in my swarm immediately. I was actually just, I was trying to get into a safe area, and unfortunately, I got what do you call it, truck charged. So I was unable to, go into a safe, like a super safe area, but I was still able to get away from any possibility of being killed while I was calling in that swarm. So that was a really smart play because, when you get a kill streak, you want to be relatively smart with how you use it or when you use it and where. And you just want to be aware of the situation and how many people are around you and just your ability to, to call in the score streak without dying inside the score streak if it's one of those score streaks that you go into and leaves your character on the ground, or it's just one of the score streaks you have to touch your arm band with to activate. So it's just a smart thing to do. Overall, you want to be smart with how and when you play your score streaks. It really helps for if you're gonna try to get a longer score streak because playing smart will help you live longer, and it's a good strategy. Anyway, I'm gonna jump back into the gameplay. So right here, I'm trying to force gunfights that are in my advantage where I'm gonna be flanking the enemy or they have a disadvantage because of the gun they're using. And as you can see, that's really working out for me. I was able to flank 2 or 3 people, and I was able to pick up that kill earlier with the Cap 40 because the Cap 40 was had the advantage over that guy with the assault rifle in that close quarters combat gunfight. So just overall, this is really working out for me. I actually just picked up a lightning strike, but there's like 30 seconds or 12, 15 seconds left in this half, so I did decide not to call it in, and I'm just gonna, set up right here, make sure I don't die, check my corners before going around them, and just try to pick up another kill. But unfortunately, I wasn't able to pick up any more kills in that half, so I go into the next half with a lightning strike, which is actually a really good thing because going into halves with a score streak really puts your team at an advantage, especially if it's like a lightning strike or a VSAT or a UAV. They're very helpful in the early game of or the early parts of a round, um, and it just helps when you're trying to get into those spots and try to get some good, trying to get the kills up. Right here, I actually wanted to point out just how I strafed around that corner, and then I was able to pick up that guy, and I actually think there's a second guy back there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back here. I'm actually going to, strafe in. And right there, I want to pause it just to point out how I strafed around that corner and I put myself into this cover. But unfortunately, I'm going to get shock charged and then sniped. And I really couldn't have done anything about that. I actually didn't know that that guy was there. But I'm actually going to run back here. And the only reason felt confident going back there was because I knew where he was. And I knew that he was probably not going to move because you know, it's very, especially for snipers, they just set up in a spot and they normally just sit there, or at least normally in real life they do, and sometimes in Call of Duty they do, but not often do snipers sit in the same spot. But I knew that he was probably not going to move in the next 10 seconds that it took me to get there. So I was able to pick that guy up, and unfortunately that I really didn't see that guy. I checked that window earlier, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get away safely and continue running towards their spawn. And right here, and as you can see, I'm starting to play a little bit more aggressive because their team is definitely playing a more defensive style. And right here, I don't know what was happening. I was just not. I didn't even get a hit marker right there. And I don't know. I guess I thought that guy was dead. So when I ran past him, he appeared to be dead to me. I don't know. So that just wasn't a really smart play. I really shouldn't have been rushing. I shouldn't have been rushing so far into their spawn with an unsuppressed weapon. But as you can see, I'm really trying to push for these kills because the other team's playing really defensively, and it's really hard for me to pick up more than a few kills. And this is actually not a smart thing to do. I'm playing a bit over aggressive, and as you can see, it's really costing me a lot because I'm dying more than a few times. And it's just unfortunate because I was doing so well in the first half, but playing this super aggressive playstyle does not help me out in this later part of the game. And it did. Watch right here. You're going to see a really good example of how defensive the other team is playing. They're actually that dude was just camping in that corner, waiting for people to run past him. So that's just a really unfortunate thing. Playing over aggressive is definitely not a good playstyle if you have an unsuppressed weapon. And right here, I think so. Okay, this is going to be a bizarre, not a bizarre happening, but this happens all the time. But I don't really understand how this keeps happening. Because okay, I was in their spawn. He should not have spawned there. I was in the general area of that spawn point. He really shouldn't have spawned there, but he did spawn there, and that's just one of my complaints with Call of Duty is that the spawning isn't as I don't know. I guess it's not as controlled as it should be. People shouldn't be spawning where when somebody's in the general radius of that spawn point. But I guess if you're not in the exact part of that spawn point, then the game's still gonna spawn people there. And I don't know. I feel like that's not something that's a really smart thing to do. But that's just how the game works. Anyway, guys, this gameplay's wrapping up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Final score was 48 and 7. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, share. Sorry for this gameplay for being a little bit late. I've been relatively busy. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please have a nice day and God bless.